Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So today I want to talk about a very old monster. I think this monster is probably around 25 years old already. And I know we made that joke about 25th anniversary not being ever ending in the Yu-Gi-Oh era, but trust me when I say this card is probably older than a lot of players that are playing this game right now. But yeah, this is Serpent Night Dragon. This monster debuted in Magic Ruler or Spell Ruler as it was renamed afterwards. And there are a lot of applications behind this monster, and you already know where I'm getting at. We got a retrain of that monster coming in Alliance's site. But before we talk about the retrain, let's talk about the card itself. The only rivaling level 7 nostalgic monster to this one is Red Eyes and Black Dragon. There are no reasons to play this card over Red Eyes Black Dragon. However, there are some applications, like for example, it is a searchable target for the primary cards. It works with the Heretic monsters as well. We already know that in Supreme Darkness we're getting another barrel, which is a really good card for primate decks in general. It's also functionable with Primate Roar, and it is a material for the Dragon Rulers, like Chemastith or Eclipses. But that's enough about Serpent Night Dragon. Now that we talked about the vanilla monster, let's talk about its retrain. So this is Serpent Night Dragon, the Wicked Dragon, and its effect reads: you can only use the first effect once per turn. The first effect is that you can tribute one other dark monster from your hand or field to special summon this card from your hand. When this card is destroyed by battle, you can target one monster your opponent controls, send it to the graveyard, and then you can special summon this card. So I really like this card. The applications for this card are not entirely like broken by any means, but it is a very practical card. Sadly, you can only tribute dark monsters, so you cannot tribute the Heretic monsters for this. But there are other applications for it. Before we talk about the first effect, let's talk about the second effect real quick. So, like, imagine your opponent having like all these monsters on board. Let's say your opponent has like all these monsters, right? Something really cool about the Serpent Night Dragon is that its effect to return from the graveyard and send a card is not once per turn. So there's nothing stopping you from just attacking all over all these monsters. As long as you have life points, you can attack all over all these monsters and you can just keep sending cards to the graveyard. So if this card is not stopped by a card effect, you can completely just board wipe your opponent, bearing they still have a monster bigger than this card. And that's really cool for certain decks and strategies that don't have like a very good going second tool. I can think of one deck right at the top of on my mind. And now we're going to talk about the second effect because that's going to be a perfect segue. A good archetype or a good like deck that really works well with this card is the Lair of Darkness monsters. Remember these cards? Yeah. So distributing a dark monster is a cost for it to be special summon from the hand. So if you have a Lair of Darkness up, this card pretty much turns into like a kaiju. you can just pretty much tribute any opponent's monster and just summon this card. But that's not all the applications it has. If you tribute something from your field or hand, you can trigger the Darkest Diabolos, so Darkest Diabolos gets summoned. If you tribute the Alice, Alice can add you either Loris or Lilith, which is really cool. If you tribute Capsule, you can draw one card. So, if you tribute the Arima, you can add like any of all these other aforementioned monsters. So yeah, I really like this card. I think this card is really, really cool in that aspect. But there is one more archetype that actually benefits from this card, and it's funny because this deck, it just keeps getting better and better. We're talking about the Mitsurugi cards. Like all these Mitsurugi monsters, they activate upon being tributed. Doesn't matter from where, and they're all dark attributes. So the Serpent like Dragon can tribute, like for example, Futsu, and you can just add any of these monsters to your hand. You can tribute like the Saji to add a spell card. You can tribute the Kusanagi to recover like a Mitsurugi card back to your hand. So in the future, I wouldn't be surprised if people just take this card into the Mitsurugi deck, like as another tool, which is another really cool thing I really like about this card. This card being level 7 also works well with the new Dragon Rulers, like I mentioned beforehand. Like you can just use this as an XYZ material for the Dragon Rulers as well. If you do have a heretic monster on the field and you have Lair of Darkness up, they do become dark attributes, so you can actually tribute them for the Serpent Night Dragon, and that makes it so you can make the rulers easier. If you play the Primite engine, you can just summon the original Serpent Night Dragon, and you just use both of them to overlay into the rulers, and like you just have like more plays that way. So yeah, I really, really like this card. I really like Alliance Insight as a whole. I think Alliance Insight is a really, really good set right now. Like, when that set debuts in May, I can tell you for sure that the metagame is not going to be the current metagame that it is right now, or it's going to be the one that's going to be before it. But yeah, that's it from me. I hope you found this informative to your liking and understanding. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Keep practicing and keep doing.